What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday, October 6th. We are very happy to have you here at the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is my good friend John.
Oh, we're friends now. I thought we were just coworkers.
For now.
Hobbyist.
Yes. But welcome into the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are excited to have you today. We are currently recording during the Atlanta and Green Bay game, during Monday night game. So if you see us jump and you're watching us on YouTube or look over there to our left, then that's the reason. We've got a couple fantasy finishes riding on this game. So
Aaron Jones, we need you to ball.
I need him to do decent, but not good enough.
Need 33 points in a PPR league. Let's get it.
See, if I have that much, then I lose. So, no. He's already got a touchdown, which is nice.
He's doing good.
Yeah. So, but anyways, ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome in. We are excited to have you. Congratulations to not Matt Dutton. He won the Kenny G jersey.
I wonder who he is, though.
That's a good question.
It's not Matt Dutton, but it doesn't say who it is.
Right. What is his name? But anyways, congratulations to him on IG. We are going to continue to do giveaways and stuff like that periodically throughout the season, all year round, because we are a year-round fantasy football podcast.
Yeah, I would expect about four of these minor giveaways during the course of the season and one big for the whole season.
Yeah, for our listener league.
Yeah, gotta have one big one for you guys.
Yeah, one big old giveaway.
Yeah.
So, but we have a packed show for you today. We have, of course, got news and injuries, updates from around the league. A couple big pieces of news coming out of the NFL today. Also, drop, trade, hold. Little segment we're going to be talking about.
Tighten those rosters up.
Yeah, quite a few players on this drop, trade, hold segment that we are going to be talking about. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about the waiver wire pickups, players you should be targeting that could be, on your waivers in your leagues. So let's jump into it. But actually, before we do, we're going to talk about our beer of the day real quick. It is called the Keybilly Island Ale. It is by Brewhub out of Lakeland, which is a pretty cool story and a really great concept. So we'll be talking about that a little later on. But so far, a pretty good ale. I enjoy it. Nice and smooth.
Yeah, I was expecting like a really strong like sour key lime flavor or something like that, just because it says it is brewed with key lime juice. But it's really mild and subtle. You still get a nice beer flavor without it actually feeling like a sour. It's pretty great. I really enjoy it so far. Can't wait to get into it a little bit more later.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our news and injuries from around the league. First off, Bill O'Brien. If you want to be a podcast co-host, feel free to hit us up. We don't make any money off this, but you're not making any anyway, so feel free to come over.
Before you made that last comment, I was actually going to halfway seriously DM him. But now that you said that, I can't put that.
We'll clip it. Bill O'Brien got fired by the Texans yesterday, Monday. So they weren't off to a great start. Some say a very bad start.
Yeah, I mean, some would say that 0-4 is pretty, can't do much worse.
Can't.
I'm personally a little surprised. I know that they had an extremely hard schedule at the beginning quarter of this year, playing against the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Steelers already. So it's not like I personally expected them to win any of those three games. But they've also been looking pretty terrible with those trades they've been making and the cap room they have.
As a Dolphins fan, I think their trades have been
spectacular.
A+. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. But no, I think that I was just surprised to see it happen now. But might as well go now and
rip the Band-Aid off.
Fire 2 at 1. Now you got to hire 2 people to cover the same man's job. So
sometimes sales don't work. Getting a 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Looks appealing, but
good thing Deshaun got paid now.
Yeah, it could really go downhill fast, and it did there in Texas, in Houston. Good news, piece of good news real quick. no positive tests as of Monday morning for the Titans, which is good for the outlook for their week against or their game against the Bills. They do have to have a second day of testing with no positive tests, and then they can start to plan out opening their facilities. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we do not have or they do not see any more positive tests on the next round of testing. Carlos Hyde, he may sit out week 5.
Yeah, we're going to have to jump on that Chris Carson bandwagon along this week. If he's going to be the only guy back there, then it should be pretty great for him again. If Carlos is out, it's sad to see. He's a pretty talented back, but hasn't been getting much fantasy value anyways.
Yeah. Also, unfortunately, Austin Eckler, he's headed to the IR, likely headed to the IR with a grade 2 hamstring. He did was taken off on a golf cart, unfortunately, after straining his hamstring. Not very good. We've got him in a couple leagues, John.
I know. It's absolutely terrible. He was starting to look pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Especially with Justin Herbert there and it not being Tyrod Taylor stinking it up there. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. It does give Justin Jackson, who's just freshly healthy, a nice little shot, as well as just Josh Kelly.
Yeah, Justin Jackson should get that pass-catching role that Austin Eckler was seeing.
Yeah, and then Josh Kelly is going to be someone who's going to be getting a lot of that ground game because he was already getting it with Austin there. And with Josh Kelly not being such a standout back, they're going to look to make him a little more viable. There we go.
There you go, Aaron Jones. Actually, no, that's Jamal Williams. I'm sorry.
Why is that 30? That should be another 3. 33. Get on the ball.
Oh, man. Nick Chubb, he unfortunately is headed to IR with an MCL sprain or strain, whichever. I don't know. Is it strain or sprain? Partially tore, something like that. He injured his MCL.
It's hurt.
Yeah.
He's on IR.
He hurt his knee. MCL to be exact, though, and he is going to be on IR. Expect 6 to 8 weeks is what I'm hearing. Same for Austin Eckler, potentially, because of the severity of that strain, the hamstring strain. So both of those guys, 6 to 8 weeks potentially, but we will keep you updated on what's to come. Sony Michel, he was put on IR.
Just an IR fest. This is an injury-plagued season.
It's horrible. It's horrible. With that and COVID, I'm glad there's football. But, man, it stinks. I hate seeing players get hurt. Somebody from the Falcons I didn't see who it was, but he just got
Keanu Neal.
Was it Keanu Neal? Dang, man. Too many injuries this year, man. I hate seeing that. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, he is out at least another week. So hopefully comes back, maybe sits out a week, and then comes back the following week. Would you expect him to put up, CMC numbers the first week back?
No, absolutely not. You're going to be it depends. I think that realistically the Panthers aren't going to be a playoff team, and they're really not playing for the playoffs, especially when Christian McCaffrey.
Don't tell them that. They just beat the Cards, baby.
No, I mean, I guess there are 2-2. I just don't see them either forcing Christian McCaffrey in once he does come back in a strong point. So, no, I don't think he's going to be putting up his regular numbers, expecting, running back 1 numbers each week. But I do think that he's going to be someone that you're going to want to play if he's on your roster. You're going to try to make up for that lost time.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Robert Tonyan.
He got a touchdown. I started Robert Tonyan, baby.
Hopefully everyone else did. We all told you.
We did.
There's limited options here. It looks like all they're going to is Tonyan, MVS.
And Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, too.
I haven't seen Aaron Jones on the field.
Well, this drive, but, he already has a touchdown. So.
I need 33 points, Mike.
Yeah, well, that's not happening, I don't think. Le'Veon Bell is eyeing a Week 5 return. Also, something that may allude to that Week 5 return, Kalen Ballage was waived by the Jets.
I noticed. So that just left Frank Gore and LaMichael Perrine. So you're really not – hopefully Le'Veon Bell's coming back, ready to fire him up.
If he's on your waivers, pick him up. We might be talking about him in a second.
Yeah, make sure you guys pay attention there.
He's on one of my waivers, and I'm going hard for him. Unfortunately, I do have the 11th waiver pick, so fingers crossed. O.J. Howard, unfortunately, ruptured his Achilles and will be out for the season. Fire up Gronk. he could start to emerge, especially with Chris Godwin out.
Cameron Brake got some looks this weekend as well.
He did indeed. So sad for OJ because, this was, I feel like he was starting to take that next step. Nothing crazy, but at least getting some more looks, maybe stepping into that role that Tampa wanted him to. And he's an athlete. So he was looking good for a couple games, and really sad to hear that. Noah Fant, man, ankle injury this past week. He's definitely missing week 5, potentially a little bit longer than that. So keep an eye out on that. That's a big loss to that offense.
It's terrible. He was actually seemed to be their favorite receiving target, regardless of which quarterback's been in there, as long as he's been on the field, especially with Sutton out and Phillip Lindsay. It really does hurt them a lot, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But hopefully he does come back healthy and ready to go. Yep.
Raheem Mostert, he might begin practice tomorrow on Wednesday. Fingers crossed he does, because we got Raheem and CMC in the league. But Jerick McKinnon putting up numbers, putting up fantasy points. That's what we like to see. Any running back in that offense getting the bulk of the carries is going to put up solid points. So hopefully Raheem can come back fully healthy and stay healthy through the remainder of the season. Now, do you think they do like to give spread the ball around with their running backs because they run so much? Do you think once Raheem comes back, will both Jerick McKinnon and Raheem have fantasy relevance?
Yes, I think they'll both be relevant, but to a lesser magnitude than what you've been getting out of them so far this season. So, like, each running back out of that backfield each week, you're getting about 20 points in a PPR league, regardless of whoever's the number one back there. So I do think that when they do get back to that Raheem Mostert healthy and Jerick McKinnon, who's been playing very well with his time there, I think you're going to be getting somewhere decent and flexible. Maybe even running back 2 numbers out of whoever's the starter is, and flex numbers out of the second. But I do think you'll find relevance in both, especially on good matchups.
Yeah, definitely. That team is very injury riddled. They just lost Ziggy Ansah, who was their defensive end, who was replacing their other Joey Bosa and all those guys who've been hurt on that defensive line. So it's sad to see. And then Kenyon Drake, he did sustain a chest injury over the weekend during the game. Supposedly he just got the wind knocked out of him. It's nothing serious, but just keep an eye on that, especially for you Chase Edmonds owners.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds came in at the end of the game and kind of balled harder than Kenyon has been doing all season. So hopefully Kenyon's out and you guys got Kenyon and Chase Edmonds on your team. Mm-hmm. Pick up on that lost production.
Yep. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, those are our injuries and news from around the league, letting you know what's going on. Let's get into our drop, trade, or hold. We've got quite a bit of players, looks like about 13, 14 or so players that we're going to be talking about. Some guys who have been disappointing, to say the least, I would say. Some guys who
are not living up to their expectations, especially where you drafted half of these people. You expected it wide receiver 2, running back 2, maybe even wide receiver 1 in some of these people's cases. So there's just a lot of players who you might have just missed out on.
And I don't think anybody is hurting us more than AJ Green. It hurts, especially when you see him getting 13 targets one week, only catching 3 of them. That's nothing. You don't like to see that, John. That is not.
No, he all season long, he's been someone who's been getting a pretty good amount of targets from Joe Burrow, but not able to connect, especially on those deep balls. And as we were talking about leading up to this week, it's getting towards that time where we're kind of giving up on him.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon was someone who was having a similar issue, but he made it. He did great this week. He showed that he's still something to do. AJ Green just seems to be getting outworked by both Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins in that offense.
Yeah. Guess how many targets he has?
How many?
28. Guess where that ranks among the league? 7th. He's getting a ton of targets.
Yeah. And he's being currently ranked wide receiver 77 in a PPR league.
Not good.
So, in my opinion, I think AJ Green is someone you are either going to try to trade away right now for someone who's hopeful of his upside, or just drop him and pick up someone on the waivers. If you flex him week in and week out, hoping for that big game, you're going to get hurt, especially when he's only able to put up 5 points in a full point or 1 point in a full point league. It's just not enough, and it's going to lose you weeks if you're playing him, waiting for that big game to happen. I think he's someone you trade, get something off that name value. AJ Green's a name. Someone's might be hot on him, and if you can't find anyone to trade him, I think you drop him. I think you get rid of him.
Yeah, see, okay, what I'm doing is I'm dropping him. Now, if you do, in my opinion, if you do expect to trade him, then I'm holding him until he has a big game. I'm not going to be starting him at all. Once he has the big game plus the name recognition, at that point, you might be able to get something out of him. But, I mean, I don't think it's a secret that he's not, the old AJ Green. And unless you're in like a family league, where people aren't really paying attention, where Tom Brady was the number 1 overall pick, just because they're Patriots fans or something like that, try to trade him. But I do think that I don't think you're going to be able to trade AJ Green for
not by himself, but he's the type of player that you can package when you're trying to pay up for a position. If you want an upgrade at a running back and you've got let's say you got Aaron Jones and you want to trade up to Alvin Kamara. No, that's too far.
Okay, I was about to say.
You've got Aaron Jones. You want to trade up to Dalvin Cook. It's not a far stretch. Some would even say that's not a trade up. You add AJ Green to that, to someone who might be a little weak at receiver, who just needs someone. It adds that value in him and that upside that he could have to the right person. You're obviously going to find someone who, I'm not saying you're going to find someone who's like, oh, he's going to ball out. But you could find someone who might take some risk on the upside with him. And that's what you're doing. And if you can't find that, drop. Get rid of. Yeah. Pick up someone off the waivers and get him off your bench.
Yeah. And that could really go, with anybody. I mean, some of the guys here we're going to talk about don't have much the same name recognition. But another one of those guys, T.Y. Hilton, hasn't done much, And I kind of said this at the beginning of the season. With Phillip Rivers doesn't have the same arm he used to. He throws ducks. And T.Y. Hilton is a field stretcher. We really saw Paris Campbell, before he got injured, thriving in that offense because he could get those, shorter routes, and he was getting a bulk of the targets. Currently, T.Y. Hilton only has 17 targets on the year. He is getting a 17.7% target share for his team. But even that's not great. That's 41st in the league. So at this point, I'd say he's the same as AJ Green. I'd be okay with dropping him. He's just not doing what you drafted him to do. And, currently he is the wide receiver, 76 in standard, 69 in PPR. He hasn't had a game over 55 yards. The most he's put up is 53, and he hasn't scored a touchdown. Week 1, it was nice to see that he got those 9 targets, but ever since then, his targets have dropped down to 5 and 3 week 3, and then 5 this past week. So I'm okay with dropping T.Y. He does play Cleveland and Cincinnati the next 2 weeks, so we just saw what the Cowboys, and I'm not comparing the Colts to the Cowboys, but we just saw that the Cowboys could put up some yards, over 500 passing yards on them. But I think with the addition, with Jonathan Taylor taking over that backfield, and running the ball, and their run game behind that line, I think that T.Y. is pretty much droppable. Maybe if you could, like we were talking about, trade him potentially, adds with the name value, but I'm not worried. I'm willing to drop him.
Yeah, Ty. I don't think his upside that you're gonna be even as a trade asset is much. So Ty is someone I'm just comfortable straight dropping, but not much you're gonna get for him, and plenty of people you could pick up off waivers.
Mm-hmm.
So just moving on to the next guy, someone else who's a pretty hot name. A lot of people were drafting him really early. Kenyon Drake. Kind of been really underperforming. A lot of people were drafting with the front end or the back end of the first, front end of the second. If you were drafting in like May, July, or May, June. So he's been hurting a lot of people. Really not able to break out into a huge game. only being able to carry the ball for 67 times for 250 yards. That's a 3.79 average, which just isn't just below mediocre. It's not terrible, but he's also only been able to find the end zone once.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, and he's been getting a decent share. It's just the offense doesn't seem to be flowing through him in any way. The main rusher on that team is Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, Kenyon Drake, what you're going to want to do with him is hold on to him for a couple more weeks. He just came off of a terrible game and a bad game before that. Wait for him to have another a decent to good game, and then get rid of him. He's not someone that's going to be consistent for you when he does have that good game. He does have the Jets coming up, then Dallas, then Seattle. In one of those 3 games, I would expect him to have a pretty decent or even a good game, and then that's your time to get rid of him. After that, he's got Miami, Buffalo, and Seattle again. Miami and Buffalo haven't been allowing the most to the running back on the ground. They've been allowing a lot of receiving yards to running backs, but I think Kenyon Drake, you're going to want to get away from at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to hold him until he has that big game and then trade him away. Like you said, he does have a pretty favorable matchup this week, so long as he's healthy. The Jets have been allowing 4.57 yards per carry, so he does have an opportunity to get, be a little bit more efficient this week. Like you said, he's had 67 carries through the first 4 weeks, and that's sixth in the league. So he is getting the touches. He's just, like you said, he's not being efficient enough. And that offense, especially the last 2 weeks, has been struggling. I'm going to hold on to Kenyon Drake for now. If he does have a blow-up game, at that point, I'm going to try to trade him. But he's not, that offense has been struggling, and he's not, what we saw at the end of last year. He's actually, one of the guys. This is one of the reasons why John and I were both, fading him a little bit during draft season. He just wasn't worth where you were picking him up at. So I think you don't want to drop him just because finding a running back is very difficult right now with all the injuries. But you
definitely don't want to. You want to get his value away from where you have him now.
Right.
Let someone else deal with the question of whether they should play him or not each week, and try to get something else for him. In a dynasty league, I'd go trade down to running back and get a draft pick on the side. If you have him, you're not really hoping much from him at this point, and you can do without. But another running back you guys might be curious about what to do with. I personally was going to give him until this game to either prove me wrong or prove me right, and he didn't really do it for me. This is David Johnson. The first week that I believe Duke Johnson was back.
Yeah.
Only got 55% of the carries.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. Someone who, even when Duke Johnson was there at week 1, still got 82%. Had a chance to show himself. Still got 16 carries and was not able to do much. Only going 63 yards at 3.9 a carry against the Minnesota's defensive line.
But we saw, even in week 1, because Duke Johnson did get hurt in week 1, and we saw before he got hurt, Duke Johnson was quite involved. He only had 5 touches this game, or 5 rushes and four targets, but he was on the field 38% of the time compared to David Johnson's 55. So I mean, I it does worry me a little bit. He's another guy I'm gonna hold. I want to see what he does this week because I spent up on him. You're not gonna get you're gonna be trading him at potentially his lowest value. He could have a blow-up week. A lot of people were hot on him at the beginning of the season, and Jacksonville's not that great. Hasn't been that great against the running back, allowing 97.8 points in the first 4 weeks, allowing just over 4 yards a carry. And they do allow, they have allowed over 200 yards receiving, which David Johnson is a pretty good receiving back. Let's see what he does this week. Don't drop him. Don't trade him yet. I would hold on to him, see what he does this week, and then potentially, make your move from there, and see what you can get. And if he puts up numbers, then maybe you do, keep him for a couple weeks. He plays the Titans the following week, which they haven't been great against the running back either. So
then they play Green Bay, Jacksonville again, and then Cleveland.
It's got a nice little schedule.
It's not terrible. It's pretty decent. I just don't think that you're going to get much more than you already have from him at all this season. You might have one big game, but that's about it.
The good thing is I think the next 3 weeks he'll have flex consistency.
Oh, he's flexible. I think you trade him just off of the value that people might still see in him. If someone's worth more to someone else than he is to me, and I do not believe it, I'm getting rid of him. I'm letting them take the value, and I'll find someone on their team that we disagree on.
Right. Yeah. I just think that I think one of these next couple weeks he could have a much better weeks than he has the past 2 weeks because he played Pittsburgh and Baltimore before that. So hold him, in my opinion, hold him, see what he does, and then potentially trade him away. Moving on to, oh, man.
This one really hurts.
It hurts, man. It hurts because I honestly, I don't want to. But Robbie Anderson's that wide receiver one there. DJ Moore, he has been hurting people. Currently the wide receiver 38 in standard and 30 in PPR. He had a great week, too, against a good defense, the Tampa Bay Bucks. He does play Atlanta this week. So that's a very solid matchup. John, what are you doing with him?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm letting him play against Atlanta and then I'm trading him.
Yeah, that is my that's what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah, if he can't ball out against Atlanta, he's not going to do it against Chicago, and he's not going to do it against New Orleans. So I just don't think him and Teddy Bridgewater have the same connection. Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson seem to be doing fairly well together. DJ Moore, I'm sorry. It's just the time's up.
Yeah. Robbie Anderson has 34 targets, the most on that team. DJ Moore has 32, which is actually 12th among the league. It's just he only has a 56.2 catch percentage. So, and that's not necessarily a fault to his own. It's a little bit of both between him and Teddy Bridgewater. Currently, his average depth of target is 12.8 yards. So not too far, but we all know that Teddy's not the best deep ball thrower, whereas Robbie Anderson's average depth of target is only 8.7 yards. We have been seeing him actually getting involved in the screen game. A lot of people thought that
he was going to be a deep receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let him play against Atlanta and then see what he does there.
I don't know. My thing is he ranks. He's ranks third in drops in the NFL right now. DJ Moore does.
That's not good.
It is not good. And drops the ball 11% of the time. On his 31 targets, he's dropped 3 times.
Oof.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So poor guy.
Poor guy is right.
I'm dropping him, getting rid of him.
You're dropping him.
I'm sorry. I'm holding on to him, trading him, and getting rid of him.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. See what you can get for him. Marvin Jones, for me, is droppable. I thought he was going to have a lot better than he has been. Obviously, they missed Kenny Golladay the first couple games, and he did. But he was last year at least. He was doing better when Kenny G was on the field. He's just not the same player. He hasn't been receiving the targets, and I think he is droppable at this point.
See, I'm actually at the points where I think I'm going to hold him a little bit. Mainly after the point that you made last week about how you think Kenny Golladay being there is going to open the field up for him a little bit. I'm going to hold him and see if that's actually going to happen. I don't know if this week playing against New Orleans just wasn't a good fit for him. It might have just been a bad matchup. Just couldn't get open. Let's see what actually happens. I mean, they're going into a bye week. We're not going to play him anyways this week.
True.
If I need the roster spot and I need to drop someone to pick him up and I'm questioning him or someone else, probably dropping him. Obviously, you're not going to be able to trade him and get much for him, so you're looking at a straight drop or hold for another week. They do play Atlanta coming up in week 7 and then Jacksonville in week 6. So when they come back, they're playing against teams that should be allowing some decent passing yards and some good points to the receiver. So I'm kind of in that hold position with him.
Okay. Yeah, so looking at our waivers real quick, all right, are you going to drop him for T. Higgins?
No.
No, you're not. Okay. All right. I was just wondering. What about Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. But we'll get to him in a minute as well. Couple more real quick. We'll fire them off. Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. I'm dropping Brandon Cooks. He's absolutely terrible this year.
I would agree.
You would agree?
I agree.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with that Texans offense, other than maybe Will Fuller and Deshaun.
Even Deshaun, man.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to play him.
Robert Tonyan just got a second touchdown of the game.
Baller.
Love to see it.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. Okay, John.
Listening.
Marquise Brown, bro.
I'm trading him.
Trading him?
If I can. If not.
I think you can trade him. I think he is young enough to be and upside has big enough upside to trade for at least a solid acquisition. Find somebody, buy somebody low. Maybe you go in there and who's somebody? Let's see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who's somebody that maybe is injured currently that's coming back in a couple weeks? Oh, so many.
Austin Eckler.
I would do that trade. Yeah, I would do that trade.
Offer you that though.
I would do that trade, but I think it'd be difficult to get that done. Anyways, I think Marquise Brown though he has enough name recognition. He's on a high-powered offense, and I think people would be willing to trade for him, even though he's been quite sluggish at the beginning of this year.
He did just come off one of his good games too.
Yeah, well,
decent
games. Yeah, so 8 targets, which was nice, the most on the season. Trade him. See what happens, because he does play Pittsburgh back to back, week 7 and 8. Before then, he plays Cincinnati and Philly, decent matchups.
No, their week 7's getting turned into a bye. Because week 8 they had a bye originally.
Oh yeah, you're right. Pittsburgh and Tennessee's gonna be playing that week. Okay, it's not updated yet, but so but anyways, they've got a pretty tough schedule ahead: Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, New England. And then Pitt again week 12. So that's a pretty good passing defense.
Yeah, not someone I'm really excited to play against. I find Lamar running a lot more than him throwing the ball, especially to Marquise Brown. Only when available. It's only in those he's wide open kind of plays, or he's really broken that corner or something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like he likes throwing to Marquise Brown in traffic or anything super contested.
Yeah. Adding that weight, I guess, didn't do too much for him, unfortunately.
Maybe slowed him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to carry those pounds somehow.
Yeah, I guess so.
But another young receiver who's really kind of disappointing a lot of people. Started out really hot with his 2-touchdown game, though. That's going to be Darius Slayton for the New York Giants. Team that's really been stinking it up, not allowing anyone to get any fantasy assets out of them. Daniel Jones, someone who's supposed to be hot, not looking at it all either. Saquon left, and everything's just stinking. What are you doing with Darius Slayton?
Darius Slayton, I'm gonna let me see here. I'm gonna hold on just for a couple weeks, see what he does. They're limited in options there. He's getting the targets consistently, which is nice. He hasn't dropped below 6. Daniel Jones just needs to get him the ball. Now he plays Dallas next week, who just allowed 49 points to the Browns. And then he plays Washington after that, and then Philadelphia after that. So he's got 3 pretty decent games coming up. And I'm going to hold on to him, see what he does, and then from there I will kind of make my decision on what to do. If he blows up one of those games, I'm going to start trying to trade him away if I can.
You think so? Do you blame him or the quarterback?
The quarterback.
Yeah.
And the offensive line.
Yeah.
And the coach.
So
I think Darius Slayton's a very talented receiver. That's why he jumped the Sterling Shepard. Even when he was healthy, he was still the wide receiver.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree. My thing is, I think it's mainly the offensive line just not giving anyone in that backfield enough time to do anything. Whether it's the quarterback, the running back, you can only throw the ball to Darius Slayton's a good mid to deep receiver. He's good at that first deep post. He's good at that breaking the corner on a double move. So I think that without Daniel Jones being able to be in that backfield, they're just not able to do anything.
Yeah.
Which kind of kills that entire offense for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just straight up dropping Darius Slayton. In a redraft league, I'm dropping him.
Really?
Yeah. You might be able to trade him. I don't think he's going to be able to be traded.
I just think he has a nice couple games coming up. I think he could be usable in these next couple games.
I just think that the team in itself is just not going to be usable.
Dookie.
They haven't been able outside of week 1 haven't had a usable fantasy player all season.
That's true.
So you're kind of in that situation like we were talking about when you go T.Y. Hilton or A.J. Green. You're going to be playing them waiting for that week, but it's going to hurt you because you're going to keep getting weeks like you have been. And then finally that breakout happens, but you might have been able to win without those points. So I think you either drop or get rid of them, try to maybe put them on a trading block, see what kind of activity you get, and pick up someone else.
I'm holding him for the next 3 weeks. That's my opinion.
Jamison Crowder or Darius Slayton?
Oh, Jamison. That's not even like a.
So
I think Jamison's like.
So would you?
Wide receiver 2 the next like.
But Jamison Crowder's only owned in 75.1% of leagues. So are you dropping Darius Slayton to pick up Jamison Crowder?
Oh yeah, I mean if that's my ultimatum. But I think on in teams that I have Darius Slayton, there's a couple other guys that I could drop as well. But it's a lot easier to come by the receivers though. But yeah, Jamison Crowder for sure. I think it's gonna be this back half of the season. Woohoo! Or the back 3 quarters of the season.
I liked him coming into the season, so it's nice to see him playing really well.
Me too. Yeah. Evan Ingram. For me, he's droppable.
Trade away.
I think he's droppable.
I think his name's good enough to where you can trade him. Again, kind of just like AJ Green and Ty, you're not going to get a lot just based on the name, but he isn't injured, which is great for him. So he's not injured, which means he's a value.
I see. I don't think I'm not going to give up anything for him. He's not injured, which is great. Good for him and everything like that. But I'm very happy about that. But he's not the player that we thought. Or at least yet. He's getting the shares and stuff like that. He's getting the target shares, but he just hasn't done anything with it. So I mean, I think Evan Ingram's droppable at this point.
I think it's the exact same situation that you're seeing with Darius Slayton. It's the fact that the offense just has no momentum and is unable to move or do anything. They both are getting targets. The quarterback's not getting the ball. A lot of those targets are dump passes because the guy's about to get sacked. So, I mean, it sucks. I think you're dropping the Giants' offense. I mean, if you have anyone...
It's a lot easier to stream a tight end.
Yeah, agreed.
Than it is, to stream a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like Dalton Schultz, he's probably out on your waiver wire. People like that, I would drop Evan Ingram for Dalton Schultz, which is kind of disgusting, really, if you think about it, athletic wise, talent wise. But I think that Dalton Schultz is in a much better offense. They're going to be throwing the ball a ton, and he's going to put up those dud weeks, but he's also going to put up, pretty solid weeks as well. And even with the share he's been getting, Evan Ingram, he hasn't done much with it. But yeah, I mean, Giants offense, man, just. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop or trade any of them based on what kind of value it can get. Just get away from it.
Yeah, Anthony Miller. How do you feel about him?
I hate to say it, he's someone I really, really, really like as a player, but it just doesn't seem like no matter who the quarterback is, anyone can bring Anthony Miller a lot of targets for a lot of yards. He's been able to find the end zone twice this year, which is great, but they're all on deep passes that you can't expect. One of them ending the game on it, meaning that before that pass came, you were crying because he had nothing, and he just ruined your week until that catch. So when it's something you can't rely on like that, it's not something I'm going to want to be rostering or even putting up. So I'm dropping him.
He's out of the top 50 in targets. There's a couple guys that we're going to be talking about a little bit later that in our waiver pickups that have a few more targets than him. It's only week 4, so they've got like 6-7 more targets. And targets equals opportunity. What do we say, John? Opportunity plus.
You said it.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Opportunity plus something skill equals fantasy points. Something like
Opportunity plus skill equals fantasy points.
Something like that. I forget. I was just trying to use the words of John. Words of John. So.
John the Don.
John the Don. Yeah, I'm dropping Anthony Miller. Unfortunately, I was hot on him at the beginning of the year, but he has just not done much. And the only, like John said, he's saving you by getting in the end zone those 2 games. But other than that, boo-boo. Michael Gallup breaks my heart.
I do not think you're getting rid of him yet. I think you're going to try to trade him after another big week. Someone, again, who's finding relevance on a deep play at the end of a game and honestly was just a push-off away of having another big game earlier this season. Michael Gallup, someone who's been able to save you a week.
Yep.
And not even just save. He's been able to win you a week. But other than that, he's also lost you at weeks.
But he does have a pretty nice schedule coming up. He does play the Cards, which stinks, but he plays the Giants, the Washington football team, and Philadelphia. So I think those are going to be high-passing games or high-scoring games in some, not in all, but I think he's going to get enough targets. He has been getting, a pretty solid target share. He's getting at least 5 a game. He did have that 1 week with 9. So I am going to be holding on to him for now. Breaks my heart.
Only got 5 targets out of 60.
Yeah, I know. He only got it was bad. Not good. But Dalton Schultz balled out.
Michael Gallup, I'm holding, and
you like him because he's in a high-powered offense.
yes, but the problem is you don't know who they're throwing to. Even when, they played the Browns, Michael Gallup gets 5 targets. He did pretty great last week, but that wasn't until the end of the game when he was able to come away with that deep touchdown pass. Outside of that, he wasn't really getting much. He was able to get.
He was still 5 for 5 for 80 or something like that because it was like a 45-yard touchdown.
I thought it was like 60. But still, okay. So he had 1 good game.
Yeah, he has only had 1 good game. But he's getting the targets, which is nice. Yeah, it is going to be unpredictable, but I am going to keep holding on to him and see what happens. I do like who?
Michael Gallup, trash.
No, you just said you were going to hold on to him.
I'm going to hold on to him so I can trade him.
Okay, I'm holding on to him, seeing what he does, and then making my decision from there. Last but not least, Jerry Jeudy. Hold or drop or trade? Hold, trade.
He's more of a drop or trade because I don't think that you're going to get much value from him.
Even with Noah Fant out?
I haven't contemplated. I forgot that Noah Fant was out.
Yeah. I'm going to hold him, see what he does.
No, I want to see what he does now. But Noah Fant's only going to be out for a week or 2, and he hasn't been able to do much even with him there.
Yeah, but these receivers are no joke. All these rookie receivers, he's one of the better ones in the class. Drew Lock's coming back. I think that hopefully in a couple weeks, I think that will help him eventually. He does play the New England Patriots this week. Not good. He plays the Miami Dolphins, who hopefully Byron Jones is back by then. But that's a decent matchup. The next 3 weeks are really bad for him, or quite bad. He's got New England, Miami, KC, goes into a bye, but then he comes out playing Atlanta, Las Vegas, the Chargers, New Orleans, a couple banged up teams there. So I'm going to hold on to him. I like his upside, and he's a very talented receiver. Hopefully Drew Lock comes back relatively soon because I do think that he will benefit from that. Now, Ripien was not afraid to throw the ball to his team, to the other team, to anybody,
He
really.
was just airing it out wherever he could.
So, and Jeudy did have that ball and catch.
That was a moss. That wasn't even a catch. He ripped it out of that man's hands. He said, I am near daddy now.
Well, it bounced off the dude's face. So, but still, it was great,
He owns the man now.
So, I'm going to hold on to Jeudy. And see what he does.
I think you're more of a hold. If you need someone if there's someone on your waivers who's like Justin Jefferson, Jamison Crowder, if there's someone high on a high value player that's still on your waivers because you're in more of a shallow league, but you picked up Jeudy in the draft, I'm gonna grab them over Jeudy.
I got a question.
I'm listening.
T. Higgins or Jerry Jeudy?
I'd hold on to Jeudy in that situation. T. Higgins is still fighting with Tyler Boyd for that true share.
Mm-hmm.
Judy's the number 1 receiver there, who just seems to have Tim Patrick jump in there for a nice touchdown pass, as long as a couple bullets upside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, we're still winning that one league at the Eater Bowl.
Yeah, we just need Todd Gurley, someone else you guys should have been staying away from this week. And realistically, I mean, I know that it's a little early to call this game, and I know you're probably going to say, don't do this, John.
Don't do this, John.
But what are you doing with Todd Gurley? Ugh. Right now, we're at halftime for the Packers and the Falcons game at the moment. Todd Gurley is at 9 carries for 22 yards. Assuming he does not break a run for 100 and plus another 100 yards, how do you feel about Todd Gurley so far this year? He's someone that a lot of people spent value on him, picked him early, and you were hoping a lot. A lot of fantasy channels booked their name on him, and I can think of one personally, but
we almost did.
We had
him up there for a little bit at the very beginning of draft season. We did, and then we faded from him real fast.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm personally someone who you have to hold him. You can't drop Todd Gurley unless it's a shallow league where you can pick up someone else at that caliber. His talent, undeniable. It's just the offense he's in isn't using him.
They've been in shootouts. They've been in so many shootouts.
They have no defense, so they have to put up points. The easiest way to move the ball down the field is passing it. And as much of a pass catching back as he used to be, their receivers are just so high powered that you don't need to pass to him.
He's got 7 targets on the season.
He's just
3 catches.
Definitely not the guy that he used to be.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 catches for 3 yards. Receiving yards, not good. Yeah. I mean, you got to hold on to him. You spent you're not going to get much for him. So you're going to hold on to him. He does play Carolina next week, which is a nice little matchup. Then follow that, you get Minnesota, who's okay. Then you got the Lions. So he does have a couple good games here. If he can string 2 solid games together, at that point, I'm going to look for a trade partner and trade him away. So if you can trade him away, you're going to hold on to him. You know, you're not going to get much for him right now unless he balls, in the second half comes out and balls out. So you're not going to get too much for him. So I would hold on to him, see what he does. Running backs are hard to come by, so they have a little bit more value. And if you're hurting at like wide receiver or something like that, I think you could actually trade Todd Gurley to somebody who is hurting at the running back position and maybe get a little bit extra.
He's definitely a high value name guy just because of his name. And as soon as the Falcons offense does slow down and need to slow down, he's going to have a couple good games, like you said.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our drop, trade, or hold segment brought to you by the Fantasy Tap, sponsors of this show.
Oh, wow, we sponsor ourselves now.
Yeah, we got to make money somehow if we pay ourselves.
I guess we're the only pay.
I'm going to give myself $1. All right, so let's move into our waiver wire pickups of the week. We've got a few that are highly owned, 61% or more, even 70% or more. One that's even 80%, but that means there's
a possibility they're still available for you guys.
So go ahead.
And before you guys go and jump to any of the people we're going to list later on, these are just guys you're going to want to grab first.
Yes, 100%. Just because they've shown, and if they're on the waiver wire, then you haven't been listening to the show, except for one, because he's coming back from injury soon. But James White, 68.7, owned in 68.7 of leagues with Sony Michel on the waiver. He is a solid pickup. He's also heavily involved in that passing game. Today he received 8 targets, 7 receptions, only 38 yards. But if you're in a PPR league, pick up James White. Any form of PPR league, he will continue to have that relevancy in the passing game. Justin Jefferson, oh boy, I was wrong about him this week. John was right. I'll take my L. He balled out over 100 yards again. And the best thing about this is his upcoming schedule is beautiful. He goes to Seattle, who just allowed over 100 yards to
the Miami Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, to Devontae Parker, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick did pretty solid. They have Devontae Parker. That's about it. Then he plays Atlanta. Another solid team. Probably going to be somewhat of a shootout-ish. They're going to pass the ball all over them. Kirk Cousins is competent enough to do so. Then they're on a bye. Then they play in Green Bay, and then they play Detroit. So 4 solid games that I like for Justin Jefferson coming up. They do play Chicago after that. In Chicago, going to be a tougher matchup for him. Dallas, Chicago, and Jacksonville after that. Really solid matchup. Now, in the playoffs, he does get a little bit iffy. He plays at Tampa Bay, and I know we're looking far down the road, but Tampa Bay, and then he plays Chicago again, week 15, the semifinals. But then the week of the finals, if they stay banged up, New Orleans Saints. Love Justin Jefferson. Pick him up. He's going to be solid. Owned in 71% of leagues. Check your waivers. Deebo Samuel coming off the injury. Like the way he was involved last night. Obviously, nothing crazy, but you can expect that coming off the foot. He's owned in 73.3% of leagues. I like him a lot. Joey Burrow. If you're hurting for a quarterback, go pick him up. Currently the quarterback 12 in 4-point touchdown leagues.
Doing pretty well.
Showing, throwing the ball around. To Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon got involved. Hallelujah.
Not throwing it to AJ Green.
Nope. Well, he was.
Not completing it to AJ Green.
T. Higgins getting involved. Love it. Pick him up. Jamison Crowder, 75.1% owned.
What an absolute stud for such a terrible football team.
Yes. So sad.
So terrible.
Like a Jarvis Landry on the Miami Dolphins. But, hey, pick him up. 25% of leagues, he is not owned. Check your waivers. He's going to be getting a ton of targets. Chris Herndon sucks. Jerick McKinnon, 76.7% owned. Balled out again this week. As long as he can stay healthy, even with, like we were talking about earlier, even with Raheem back, he still should find some fantasy relevance.
Just not as much as you would be expecting with him as the one there.
Mm-hmm.
Another running back that's been someone we've been talking about for the past couple weeks now who's finally starting to get a little bit owned. Myles Gaskin is showing to be the number 1 running back from the Miami Dolphins. So if he's available in your leagues and you're hurting for a running back, you're going to want to grab him. He's currently owned in 77.7% of leagues. That 777's feeling lucky.
Whoop, whoop.
As well, make sure to check your waivers out for Le'Veon Bell, possibly coming back this week, if not soon after that. Only owned in 78.8% of leagues, and more than likely going to be a really hot commodity as soon as he's ready to go. So you're going to want to make sure you grab him. And then the only other running back that's really hotly owned, that's if he's on the waivers, he should at least be on your team, is going to be Antonio Gibson. Owned in 81% of leagues, so that's kind of high. But if he's there, you want him.
He broke out this week.
He had a great week, and with the quarterback situation there and the pressure that Dwayne Haskins had going on him this week, it's going to be someone you're going to want to have and keep an eye on for sure.
Who pick 3 players or pick 4 players because we have a good amount there. We forgot Philip. I'm sorry, Philip Lindsay. He's on there, 61% owned. He's coming off his injury. Now, Melvin Gordon did play well, but I do think they will go back to a 50-50.
Yes, Melvin Gordon played great, but it was against the Jets. So let's not get our hopes up too much. He did have a couple big breakout runs. I believe one really great receiving touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that Philip Lindsay's not someone who's just – I don't think Philip Lindsay's someone who's just going to disappear. I think that Philip Lindsay is going to hurt Melvin Gordon, and I do think that you might want to grab him and hold on to him.
I'm sorry. He had 2 rushing touchdowns.
2 rushing. Okay, I thought one of them was a set receiving touchdown. I was wrong. But out of them, there's actually one. Are you just talking running backs, or are you going to go?
No, one more. The last one.
Your tight end that you guys might want to hold on to, especially with O.J. Howard out, would be Rob Gronkowski, owned in 70.1% of leagues.
You know what you could do with him?
What can you do?
Trade him.
Pick him up and trade him, too.
Trade him.
Hey, pick up Rob Gronkowski. Grab yourself, Marquise Brown. Trade him up for who would you trade that for?
Gronkowski? Finds
Gronkowski and Marquise Brown for Stephon Diggs. Send it.
Probably not getting it, but
if you could do it,
worth a try. I think he's going to see an uptick in targets, and right now with O.J. Howard out, everybody's going to be looking for him. So pick him up, name recognition, and then O.J. Howard's out. So I would pick him up and trade him. But pick him up anyway. He could have a great stretch, especially if you are very tight end needy. John, pick 4 of those guys that you're going to spend the most fab on.
If they're available.
In order, please.
Oh, in order. Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I should have been prepared for this one.
It's kind of on the fly.
In order, I want PPR, not PPR, because that matters.
Half. We're talking half.
Half. Jamison Crowder, 1. Justin Jefferson, 2. Le'Veon Bell, 3. I'm sorry, Antonio Gibson, 3. Le'Veon Bell, 4. Do I need a quarterback? Like, does my team need a quarterback? Because my team needs a quarterback. My next guy's Joe Burrow. If I don't need a quarterback, I'm probably going James White or Myles Gaskin 5th.
Okay. I'm going to go Jamison Crowder 1 for sure. After that, I'm going to agree with you there. Justin Jefferson 2. I think they're going to have Finn. If I'm not really running back needy. If I'm really running back needy, I'm going Antonio Gibson 1 point blank period, and Jerick McKinnon 2. But if I'm not, if I'm okay, if I'm balanced, Jamison Crowder, Justin Jefferson as well, Antonio Gibson, and then Lev Bell. Yeah, because you got to, the upside there is great.
See, I'm just not a huge fan of Jerick McKinnon long term. I do like him in the short term.
Right, exactly, and that's why I think that. Oh goodness! Oh, great, nice. That was a weird play.
That's 17 or 11.
17. Zacchaeus, man, I don't think Calvin Ridley has a catch today.
As long as it's not Gurley.
Yeah, because we might actually win this.
I know, I'm looking at it.
I'm going to be pissed if he gets like a touchdown at the end of the game. Just like a garbage time or something. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, now into our less owned, some guys who have really, showed that they can play and shown that they can give us fantasy relevance. Dalton Schultz, great week, 31.4% owned. Tackle him. Pick him up. He's on a high-powered offense. He's going to give you those down weeks, but he's also going to give you those up weeks. And that's really going to help, especially if you're tight end needy. Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson. Josh Kelly, 56.2% owned in leagues. With Austin Eckler out, both of these guys are going to get involved, especially Josh Kelly. If he's on your waiver, I'm going to take Josh Kelly first. Justin Jackson second.
Really, I'm grabbing Jackson first in any sort of half point or full point PPR league, just based on that upside, that pass catching upside, and Josh Kelly at the second one, just because I don't think he has the same sort of pass catching ability, and they are a pass catching receiving back offense. But
he has been involved, slightly.
He's gotten some work, but I do think that Justin Jackson is going to be that primary pass catching back.
But if he does what he did week 2, getting 23,
I don't know if you remember that game, but that was a complete shootout that went into overtime, I believe.
It did go into overtime, but
I don't want to say those targets were something you can look for, because their whole offense got a lot more. They had more offensive plays than they've had throughout the entire season.
But he's going to get the bulk of the carries.
I do believe he will get.
And goal line work.
Like I said, in a straight standard league, I'll take Kelly, but in a half point PPR or a full point PPR league, I think I might take Jackson.
I think I'm going to take Kelly in both. Okay. But you want to get to the next one?
Yeah. So next one on the board is going to be Laviska Shenault from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Someone who's found flex consistency week in, week out, with one slow week there. Has only been able to find the end zone once. Does get his targets, and then is also used as a running back in some screen plays. And rushing plays as well. He was only able to get one rushing attempt this week, but was able to break it for a bunch of yards. So I do think that if you're looking for a receiver at the flex, just for some consistency at that low end, with some upside, I think he's great for that.
You know who I like a lot?
You like Cole Beasley.
I like Cole Beasley. He did get a little banged up last game, but he didn't get as many targets this past week, but he's getting targets the week before that, 7, 6, 7. He got 4 last week. Still, he got in the end zone, so he saved your week, but he's been putting flexible numbers up week in and week out, especially if you're in a 3 wide receiver league. Pick Cole Beasley up. I think he's going to continue that trend, getting the targets. He may not find the end zone, but he will get the targets and the yards. So
a consistent flex, great waiver pickup, or even a good stream for you. Someone you might want to look into streaming over the next couple weeks while Nick Chubb is out is going to be Dearness Johnson. Only going with 22% of the snap share, was able to get 13 carries for 95 yards, averaging 7.3. Again, a sneaky flex. If you're really needy on running back, he is the second string running back, but that is for Cleveland, with Kareem Hunt being the primary. Kareem Hunt does get some wide receiver work. They still might do that and still flex him in there. If you're really needy, I think he's a decent pickup for you. Being owned in 0.0% of leagues currently.
Oh, wow. Go pick him up. I think he's worth the roster spot to see. I would see what they do this week with him to see if they do go to Kareem Hunt, because they were game planning this entire once Nick Chubb went down, they didn't go away from that game plan with Kareem Hunt. So I do think that I want to see what he does. I know I saw that.
No, I got a question for you, actually.
Oh, okay. I do want to see what he does in 1 week, but if they go straight to Kareem Hunt, then I'm iffy. But definitely pick him up, because if they don't, he's going to get a ton of work.
So I do know in one of our leagues that we're in, we had to pick up Darrell Henderson and play Josh Kelly at the same time. Would you play Dearness Johnson over Darrell Henderson this week?
No.
Even with Cam Akers possibly coming back,
Even
as well as Malcolm Brown?
Yeah, even with
really, I might take him over Darrell Henderson with all 3 running backs active in Los Angeles.
Darrell Henderson has been the best running back on that team so far, all year, or the past couple years.
2 games out of the 4?
Yeah.
Cam Akers is a rookie.
I know, but I'm saying he's been the best.
Malcolm Brown's young.
No, I'm saying, no, he's not. I'm saying that he's been the best running back on that team so far this year. So I'm going to go with that upside. He missed it. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that just because I don't know what Dearness Johnson's going to do. And it could blow up in my face, but I do like Darrell Henderson at least for another week. And I would play him over Dearness just for this week. All right, and then T. Higgins, owned in 25.7% of leagues. He put up pretty decent numbers this past week, and him and Burrow seem to be getting a connection going on. He's had two good weeks, almost put up 100 yards, 23 yards shy of 100 this past week. He's averaged 19.3 yards a catch. He was targeted 7 times. The week before that, he put up 2 touchdowns on 40 yards, but had 9 targets. So I do think they're getting him more involved, which I like to see for the rookie. He does have very tough 2 matchups coming up, Baltimore and at Indianapolis. But go pick him up, stash him on your bench, and see kind of how he plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. You got someone who's going to be getting a good amount of targets and kind of pushing AJ Green out of that offense. So good on him, and good luck to him. I would be picking him up if I'm wide receiver needy. Someone else that's going to be kind of really hidden right now and just balled out against the Kansas City Chiefs. Damian Harris is coming in, only owned in 15.4% of leagues.
I picked him up in every league I could.
Fresh off an injury, as well as James White coming back this week. The 2 of them really ran the backfield. James White taking all the pass catching work, and Damian Harris getting a little bit of the pass catch as well as a bulk of the rushing attempts. So I like Damian Harris. Not an instant start or instant move into my roster, but I'm going to wait until next week and see what he does. But I am going to pick him up and hold him before other people can. If I have a little bit of extra fab, or I don't have many strong players on my bench and I have someone that I can easily drop.
Rex Burkhead was involved in the rushing game as well, which, we like to see. Of course, you never know which Patriots running back is going to get the bulk of the load, but Damian Harris, coming off that injury, coming off of IR, did get the most rushes. He got 17 compared to Burkhead's 11. So, like to see that. I think Damian Harris, had glowing reviews coming into
Ran for
training
100
camp
yards today.
and ran for
It's a
for
5.9
100.
average.
So had a great day today, and I like him a lot. Go check your waivers. I would say he's up there with, those guys that we were talking about earlier, those running backs, Antonio Gibson, James White, Jerick McKinnon, Myles Gaskin. I think I'm not saying I would pick him up over them, but I think he's going to be up there in that down the stretch in that conversation.
Maybe. The only thing that scares me is just how the New England Patriots use their running backs. I think you're looking at him as more of a Josh Kelly, Darrell Henderson question where you could get 6, you could get 20.
Yeah, but the thing I like, though, is, like I said, he was talked about a lot coming out of training camp, and then he got hurt, unfortunately. And to see him the first game back getting 17 touches, 17 rushing attempts, that's a great thing to see. So I think he'll be a great player down the stretch. Justin Herbert balled out. These rookies, man, they're really playing well this year.
It was a good draft class.
11.7% owned. You can't expect what he did this week, but I do think there are going to be games that you can play him. And I don't typically carry 2 quarterbacks on my roster in single quarterback leagues. However, on a deeper bench, we're in a league with a deep bench, 8 or 9 spots. We picked up Justin Herbert 2 weeks ago, and it's paid off for us. So pick him up if you are quarterback needy. Maybe you have Carson Wentz.
If you have Carson Wentz, you're going to want to pick up anyone else.
Yeah, so he didn't
Maybe
do too bad. But
no, he actually had a decent game. I just don't trust him.
Yeah, I don't trust him either. But anyways, pick up Justin Herbert if you like to carry 2 quarterbacks on your team, or if you are questionable at quarterback. Robert Tonyan already has 2 touchdowns in this game. It's not over yet. He's 4 for 4, 54 yards.
Packers are driving down the field, actually.
57 yards and 2 touchdowns. They are driving right now as we speak in the third quarter, 6:41 to go.
With an 11-point lead.
Aaron Jones going down the sideline for a nice 7-yard gain. We're commentators now.
We should be.
But he is 100% so far on the last 2 weeks in catches.
Yeah, I love Robert Tonyan. He's someone who came out of the blue, especially with the Devontae Adams being out the past 2 weeks.
Alan Lazard's out for a while too.
And Alan Lazard being out indefinitely as last reported.
Yep.
So we've got Robert Tonyan. You did see Aaron Rodgers years ago being really, really successful with his tight ends. It's just been the past 3 or 4 years that he just hasn't been able to really light them up and make them super relevant as far as fantasy. Pick up Robert Tonyan. Only 7.9% owned. It's going to shoot up. It's going to be a competitive one. If you have to spend fab on him, I would even go about 15%. I would spend up on him. Yeah.
I mean, I think I would too. It does take a couple years for tight ends to develop typically. So, I think I'm around that 10 to 15% mark, especially if you're tight end needy. I might even go higher than that. And then Tim Patrick, he's owned in 0.6% of leagues, especially while Drew Lock is out. For me, I think he's going to be a solid flex player. We've seen it the past 2 weeks. Him and Rippin have had a really solid connection. So pick him up. And I think he may, he's going to, like I said, he's going to be flexible, especially with Rippin in there, and then see what he does week 1 when Drew Lock comes back. Is that Robert Tonyan again?
Yeah, but there's a flag on the play.
That's not Tonyan. Was it?
That was Tonyan, but it's not going to go.
You sure? Aaron Rodgers is smiling.
Yeah, but maybe he didn't see the flag. The flag was in the deep end of the field. Push off or something. He was wide open. All right, but yes, Tim Patrick, somebody you're going to want to be grabbing, especially with.
He's 5 for 5, 3 touchdowns on.
Pick up Robert
Tonyan.
Yeah, pick
him
up.
He just scored
Aaron
his third
Rodgers
touchdown.
just loves him, and he was wide open in the end zone there. That was absolutely beautiful.
Love it.
Oh man, look at that.
Boom. Beautiful run. Oh, and he got tripped.
With the swag, got the roll, touchdown Robert Tonyan. Absolutely
Third of the
love
day.
it. Yeah, we should be commentators over fan. So guys, Tim Patrick, 0.6% owned.
Pick him up.
Someone who should be doing very good with that reduced receiver options in Denver. Pick him up and hold him. Pick him up and flex him if you really, really need to in deep leagues. But definitely take a look out on him. So thank you for that. We're going to be going over. Thank you for all of the waiver pickups. Make your team a little bit stronger. Make them a little bit better. But let's make your day a little bit better with this beer of the day.
We are drinking on the Keybilly Island Ale with key lime juice, made with real key lime juice. It is from Brewhub, which is pretty dope. So just to give you kind of a quick background of Brewhub, what they do is for small craft breweries or even single people who don't have the financial or the geographical or just are at capacity to brew or their beers like this and distribute them. They offer that to those type of people. This guy, we looked him up on Instagram. It looks like this is the only beer he makes. I mean, I don't know for 100%, but Keybilly Beer is his Instagram name.
Great beer, Billy.
Great beer, Billy is correct. But Brewhub, like I said, they give opportunity to small breweries or brewers to distribute their beer, get it out there. I'm glad they did because this was quite a good beer. Brewhub, just to give you a quick background on Brewhub, they were founded in 2012 in St. Louis, Missouri, by a team of industry executives and craft brewing experts. So they moved to Lakeland, and now they're in a massive facility over there. You can actually go to their tap room in Lakeland and try a bunch of different beers. Check out brewhub.com. You can learn a little bit more as well as see what's on tap. They, according to their website, my computer's running slow. They've got a bunch of beers on tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A bunch. They got a bunch of beers on tap, and then they also have a bunch, 13 beers on tap, and then they've got a bunch more partner beers there. A bunch, you may have heard of already. There's a few that we haven't done yet, but like I've seen like Orange Blossom Pilsner Squared. They're around.
Probably someone we're going to be peeking into a little bit more. They do just seem to have a large variety of a lot of smaller people just making small batch, great names.
We're gonna have to drive over there. We're not too far from Lakeland.
No, not at all. It's only like an hour or so. We'll have to get in contact with them. Something I really enjoyed, very good beer. As I mentioned earlier, as a big sour person, I kind of looked at it and was being a little cheeky when I grabbed it because I saw the key lime. I was expecting a really great sour. Didn't look that it was an ale. Not even mad with myself. Really did enjoy this. Very, I don't want to say mild because it wasn't mild, but it wasn't bitter. It does have a 5.4% ABV and a 15 IBU, which is, so you understand when I say it's not very bitter, but the flavor is fairly pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
It comes through strong. It does have a nice little floral hoppy taste. It just doesn't have that sour, but you do get a nice little bit of key lime flavor without that sourness coming through. I really enjoyed this beer.
Me too.
I thought it was absolutely delicious, and I'm actually going to give this like a flat 8.
I'm going to give it an 8.3. Like it a lot. When you smell it, it smells like a typical ale, but then it has that citrusy lime hint to it. And same when you drink it, it kind of starts out tasting like a typical ale, and then at the end, I feel middle to end, you start to get that lime zest on your tongue. So 8.3 for me. I like this a lot. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab a couple and hang out on the boat. Go to Sandbar Sunday. Play some golf. Anything outdoors. I think this is a great beer for. If I'm going fishing, I'm picking up a Keybilly.
There you go. Definitely something I'm gonna try. Have to pick up again. Definitely a reason for me to check out Brewhub again and see what other kind of great beers they have. Thank you guys at Brewhub. As well as thank you, Keybilly, for this great beer. If you guys have any good beers that you guys want to send to us, if you're a beer maker and you want us to try yours, get in touch with us. It's going to be either at The Fantasy Tap on Twitter or Instagram or thefantasytap@gmail.com. If you guys want to send us an email, there you can also send us your fantasy football advice, your questions. If you guys have a particular jersey you guys maybe want to see on a giveaway, give us an idea to
I
take
can
your shot
guarantee
at.
it won't be Pat Mahomes or anybody like that.
Yeah, don't get too crazy. But if you have a random player that you guys are super hot on, let us know. Just get in contact with us. Just tell us you enjoy the show or tell us you don't. Let us know what you guys have to say. Get in contact with us. We love to hear from you. It's great to hear you guys on Sunday and get in touch with you. But thank you guys so much for coming to start another week of fantasy football with us. Really happy to have you here. Get ready for a great week 5.
Yes,
and
sir.
We'll see you again on Wednesday.
Love you guys. Thanks so much.